Hello, beautiful people. Lianna here. I'm going to talk about having conversations with your children about sex, why it's so important, how I did it, and why it was important to me, and ways that you can start to do that as well. This is uh, this is something I come across all the time with people that I've worked with, people that I've talked to, people in relationships that are there. Some relationships that are very open and very exploratory. There's a lot of fear around talking about what they're doing or about sex in general with children, with their children. Okay, so let's get into this topic a little bit. Um, when me and my partner, first told our kids about what we were doing sexually, they were around 12 and 13. So you don't need to relay information to your children when they're too young or not ready for, more expanded versions of what you're doing sexually. I think when children are little kids and they ask, where do babies come from? Then you need to tell them, okay? You need to be very direct. Children look for information that's very direct, very straightforward, very clear. What do you say? Well, you take the penis, it's put inside the vagina. The mommy and daddy who love each other, they do this. A baby, then there's an egg, there's a sperm. They come together and they create a baby inside of the mother. Something simple like that, something very straightforward and clear. They may have a few questions. What's a vagina? You can explain to them. What's a sperm? What's an egg? And that's it. It's clear. They don't need to go into some crazy imagination about what they think it might be or how it might happen, or ask their friends and get all sorts of weird explanations. It's just clear. And I think it's also very important to be clear that it's the penis, it's the vagina, okay? Not to be afraid to use these words with your children. I know a lot of people are now more open in talking about these things, but there's a lot of people still very scared to say even penis, vagina, or scared to talk about sex with little children. Talk about the sexual act, which is the creation of a child. And most children at a young age, between 2 and 6, will ask you, where do babies come from? So prepare an answer for yourself. If you're nervous about it, prepare a clear answer. Clear, short, clear. Short is the most important for a child. Now, when your kids get a little bit older and they're starting to come into their own sexuality, or maybe, and a lot of my audience is thinking about exploring, or they are exploring their sexuality, then I also believe it's important to be clear with your children. Now, my partner and I came out about being in an open relationship or entering into an open relationship relatively early. They were 12 and 13 because he was writing a book and we were putting on a play and we were going to be putting it out in public, and we wanted to make sure our kids knew about it before everybody else knew about it. Now, we put it like this to them. Mommy and daddy love each other. Mom and dad love each other very, very much. We are getting along so well. We're having a lot of fun together. We love you guys so much as well. We want you to know that we are opening our relationship, and which means that we are going to be experiencing sexual things with other people. Actually, they weren't 12, 13. They were 14, 15, I believe. At that time when the book was coming out, and that we had to then explain to them we didn't want them to see what was going on and not really understand and be confused, or someone say, hey, I heard your parents have an open relationship, and they didn't really know what that meant. So we just were very straightforward and we told them. And with that clarity, I mean, right away my daughter said, well, I don't want to know the details, but that's pretty cool. I feel like I'm living in the OC. My son, okay, cool. It was just clear information so that they didn't have to like imagine what was going on. That we weren't doing anything in front of them. There wasn't any activity happening around them. but we were going out a lot, we were meeting a lot of people, and we wanted them just to have, an idea. And if you have questions, you can ask us anything at any time, okay? But I think that telling a teenager who's ready to hear what you're doing, if it's an open relationship, or if they have any specific questions about sexuality, you're ready to tell them something very clear. That if you don't have the fear around your own sexuality, around your own sexual exploration, then your children are going to develop without the fear as well. And what is there to fear about sex? Right? Nothing to fear about sex. Of course, there is everything to fear about sex in our society because we've made it that way, and it keeps happening generation after generation where there's all this fear, the holding back, no discussion, no talking, no connection with young people coming in, children coming into, your own children, no discussions, no connection, no information for them, no understanding. I have had many clients that are big in sexual exploration, maybe open relationships, maybe going to different exploratory events. Their kids are in their 20s, their 30s. They still haven't said anything to their kids because they're ashamed. They're embarrassed. They don't want them to know. They don't want them to know what's going on in their sexual life because, yes, it's private. Well, guess what? Sex is not that private. Sex is something everybody does. Everybody thinks about. It's not like some little private thing that you have to hide away. And the more that we're just open about it and we talk about, with our children, you don't have to get into details again, but you can at least say we're in an open relationship, that they understand that there's the flexibility, there's the possibility, there's other things that you can do, there's other ways that you can explore your sexual being. If they know that, then it opens it for them. It opens their perspective. It opens the doors. It opens possibilities for them. They won't feel so locked into, one little box of how you should have a relationship or how you should go about expressing your sexuality. So I am a big proponent for talking about it with your little children, if it's about sexual act, about creating babies with teenagers, if it's about sex and they need to know information, if it's your adult children, to be very honest with them. They are now adults and they are exploring sex themselves. They've been exploring their own sexuality maybe for years, and they need to know what's going on with the parents. You are, as a parent, you are the example. You are the one forging the way, leading the way, and being able to open about what's going on in what's going on with your exploration around sexuality will give them more opportunity to open up their own mind, have a greater perspective on their whole world around sexuality. It may even create all sorts of new conversations, and it definitely would create an intimacy, knowing that you're truthful with each other, you're honest with each other, you're not afraid to discuss something that is normally very taboo. So I would love to hear in the comments what you think about if you've talked to your children about sex, how it went. If you haven't, why? What's holding you back? I have heard a number of people say, "Well, I don't want them to know because I don't want them to feel ashamed. I don't want them to not talk to me. I'm afraid of what they're going to think. I don't think it's appropriate for them to know." That's our private life. That's separate from them. Okay, all of these reasons are valid. I'm not going to judge these reasons. Everybody has their reasons, but withholding information about your life, about how you're exploring your life from your most intimate people in your life, creates a lack of intimacy with people, right? And again, you do not have to go into detail unless they ask. If my children had asked ever, which they never did, about any details or about any information specifically, I would have told them. You know, I don't have any hang-ups around sex. I don't have any hang-ups about what I've been doing sexually. I mean, I'm not saying this has always been the case. This has been a process. When we first came out, you know, it was scary. What are they going to think about us? What, you know, what, how are they going to feel? How are they going to react, you know? But it was more important to me that they knew before the public knew. Also, it was important that we share some experience with our close, intimate people in our lives. We share some very big aspects about what we're doing, so they have an idea that what's going on, why we're feeling like we're feeling, or why we're going out so much, or why we're, you know, family, friends were seeing us like really blossom, really coming alive, really like I was really into my sexual being, and so was he, and people were like, whoa, what's going on? Well, we opened our relationship and we're exploring our sexuality. For a while, there was no problem saying that because we knew that it opened the doors for a lot of other people to start thinking about it, and thinking that, oh, well, maybe I don't have to just think about it. Look at this normal suburban couple. They're out on a new direction of exploration in their lives, and look at them. They're happy, they're alive, they're going out, they're dancing, they're partying, they're having an amazing time. Maybe we're missing something here. Maybe there's just something that we need to look at too. Maybe we need to reevaluate the situation that we're in right now and open up to other possibilities. So I have lots of videos. I will list some videos below that you can watch that are about sexual exploration, about that being in a couple and exploring sexually, and about talking to your partner about sexual exploration. I have lots of videos around this topic. This video specifically about your conversation with your children. Okay, so if you have any other questions about that, I'd love to hear your comments, love to hear how you're feeling, love to hear, again, have you talked to your kids and how old are they? Or if you haven't, how old are they? And give us some reasons why. Love to get the conversation going. Thank you for dropping in today, and I will see you again next week. Much love making.